Good morning. My name is Katie Resendiz, and I have the honor of serving our Unitarian Universalist congregation of Phoenix as the Director of Children's Ministries. This morning, I also have the honor of sharing the pulpit with Abby Harper. She's in her home just outside Boston, and Abby is a feminist who is sad that she couldn't volunteer at Girls Rock Camp Boston this year. She's an amazing activist, and I'm excited for you to get to hear her speak. In this time when we are physically distant, it is good to be together. We need each other. Welcome to worship. Welcome home. The Unitarian Universalist congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on diverse theological perspectives, radical inclusion, and knowing that issues of justice and equity shape everything we do. With special awareness for those who have been historically marginalized, we welcome all, of every race, class, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious background, mental and physical ability and disability. We welcome your whole self, your family, into our worship as we build a community of kindness, caring, courage, and hope. Our chalice lighting this morning is from the Ponter Davis family. If you find a chalice or a candle to light and say our doctrine along with us, our covenant.
Okay, go.
Love is the doctrine of this congregation.
The quest for truth is our sacrament.
And service is our prayer.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek knowledge and freedom.
To share our strength in fellowship.
Thus
do we covenant.
Let me introduce our worship team. As I've mentioned, Abby Harper is here with us today. We also have our music director, Benji Messer, our pianist, Mary Coda, and our worship associate today is Amy McClendon. Behind the scenes, we have our AV team, Carol Benwell and Glenn Lockwood. Vince Waldron is our moderator today and is managing the chat.
Good morning, everyone. Our chat is open today, so please know that you can chat with everyone or just to our panelists who are running the service. Please feel free to pop a hello into the chat. And as always, we invite you to check into UUCP on social media with the hashtag UUAnywhere. Now for a few announcements about the life of our community. All of these announcements can be found in our weekly online newsletter, Compass. You can sign up for Compass on our website. That link is phoenixuu.org and will be in the chat. A reminder that next Saturday, October 24th at 11 a.m. is the ordination of Reverend Anthony Johnson. The ordination will be held online, and you can access that by going to phoenixuu.org/ordination. Our Dia de los Muertos service is coming up on November 1st. Please send us a photo of a loved one who has died whom you would like to celebrate this year. You can send that to submit@phoenixuu.org, and we're asking for those by Monday, October 26th. When you send it, please include your name, the person's name, and their relationship to you. Vespers this Thursday will be a post-debate detox. If you are feeling anxious or angry or tense or any other emotion after the debate, please do join us. And finally, we will be having a new member gathering on Saturday, November 7th. It'll be held from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., and we promise there will be lots of breaks. Today, as with our service, we are collecting our offering virtually. We ask that you please be generous in giving to support the mission of this beloved community. You can text UUCP to 73256, and that'll be in the chat. You can donate through the website, or you can send in an old-fashioned check. For all that you give to our congregation, we are so very grateful.
busy day. Busy, 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 busy. Too busy, too busy. Oh, Herbert. Dinner time, oh, dinner time. Too late to make dessert.
Wait, it's not too late to make dessert. Never too late anymore, because now the Jell-O family of famous desserts brings you new Jell-O instant pudding that needs no cooking. Just add to milk and beat. In minutes, this terrific new busy day dessert is ready to eat. Creamy, nourishing, so delicious, and so quick you can make it just before dessert time while the children are clearing the table, or let the children make it themselves. It's that easy. New Jell-O instant puddings are at your grocer's now. Stock up with a terrific new busy day dessert. New Jell-O instant puddings.
You are that homemaker on the treadmill. Busy day, busy day, busy day. You're trying to do all of the things, and you're trying to do them all perfectly. And in fact, it's part of your identity. I don't mean home chores and schooling the kids and going to work and all of those things. And a lot of us are trying to do all that. It's this other part of us, part of our Unitarian Universalist identity, the part where we say we accept the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and love is my religion, and love is the doctrine of our faith. And then we try to do all the loving ourselves. We try to do all of the active loving ourselves. And in fact, sometimes we hold each other to that idea that at every moment of every day, you are supposed to be acting 100% loving, and everything you do is supposed to be a complete and perfect show of love. That doesn't work, and we're failing at it. I mean, kids, you know this, right? If I told you you had to be nice and kind and sweet at every single moment and couldn't be angry or grumpy and could never be selfish, that would be kind of miserable, right? Well, I want to talk about that today. And me and Miss Abby and Miss Amy are going to talk a little bit about what that feels like when, one, we know we're supposed to love everyone, but two, there's a lot of people in the world and we get tired. So how do we call ourselves Unitarian Universalists? How do we think about universal salvation and love and divinity of everything if we're also going to say that maybe we don't have the time or energy to take care of everything? I will tell you that next week, Rev Christine is going to get into it about John Murray and universalism. So you'll get some context there too and get some even deeper thoughts. But today I want to think about that part where you say, I'm a Unitarian Universalist, and put a sign out that says, love is my religion, or says, we lead with love. So we're all sacred and divine and worthy, and that means everyone deserves care. But if you're that homemaker on the treadmill, trying to care for everyone, you're going to be frazzled, you're going to be exhausted, and you're going to be desperate. Be it for that Jell-O packet or for something to help. And what we don't want to do is make an excuse to not love everyone. What we want is figuring out how to do that in a way that makes sense. So first it starts with figuring out who your people are. That baby floating in the air in that cartoon, who's that baby for you? Who's the person you're making dinner for? Who is the group of people you've pulled around you? I always jokingly call it my 12. Who are the 12 people you are capable of taking care of right now and who are taking care of you? And then the other part is making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Remembering that protect your people includes yourself. And that poor homemaker, no one was protecting her except for the Jell-O advertisement voiceover guy, which is concerning, right? No wonder we lean on capitalism. Recently, I've seen a whole bunch of Unitarians struggle with an identity crisis via Facebook. And it was exactly that conflict of loving everyone and giving love and care and kindness to everyone, and other feelings that we have as people. You see, no one deserves to get horribly sick, especially not in the time of pandemic. But when the president got sick, I saw and heard a lot of folks struggling with how they should feel about that and what they had the right to say. And that's a pretty big one, right? What does loving kindness look like when we truly extend it all the way out? Do we expend ourselves? These are things we want to talk about today, and we want you to think about today. I want you to remember, I am the housekeeper in that video, and I am a universalist. And then I also want you to remember, I am not that housekeeper, and I don't have to be that kind of universalist. Carry those two things as you listen and watch today. Inherent worth and dignity still means someone has to wash the dishes. We have to make sure that when we're doing that, we're keeping our network strong and ourselves strong, okay? So are you ready for service today? Two things before we start. One is a bit of a content warning. We are going to talk about sexual assault. Won't be terribly graphic, but we will mention it. So if that's a sensitive issue for you, know that when Abby begins speaking her second part, that she'll be mentioning it a little bit. And then the other part, you might need a paper and pencil for today. You could go get it now. I'll wait. Okay, I'm not actually that patient. I hope you have a pencil and paper nearby. Things to look out for in today's service. Count the number of times that we mention the ocean. Sunshine, catch a lyric from Prince. Everyone else might catch it too, but I'm fairly certain Miss Sunshine will. Notice a mention of VAWA, the Violence Against Women's Act. Hear Blanche, Dorothy, Rose, and Sophia get a call out. Listen to some words from a very revered Mr. Adams, Douglas Adams, that is. See if anyone talks about pizza, and cheer for Abby as she attempts the tongue twister that is passionate about particulate count. Passionate about particulate count. Blah, 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 blah. I'm so happy you're here with us today. Let's get on with it.
Now is the time when we share the joys and sorrows of our community. Being together, it is good to share and to support one another and to connect. Please write any joys or sorrows or anything you would like to share with our community in the chat. Please put your name at the beginning so I know who it's from. And if you wish for it to be private only to me and not to be shared, please put the word private at the beginning and send it just to panelists so that I can hold it in my heart. And while you are entering your joys and sorrows, I would like to just take a moment to acknowledge all of the feelings, both positive and negative and everywhere in between, surrounding the elections, the pandemic, the uncertainty, and the general state of the world right now. It is a lot to hold, and we are holding it together. All right, we have a joy from Ann Lackey, who shares, I have completed my move and am getting settled into my new place. Ted and Vicky share the joy that they celebrated their 21st anniversary this weekend. And we also have a reminder, as mentioned earlier in the service, that our Dia de los Muertos service is coming up, and it's a time for us to honor those that we've lost. All right, I'll keep an eye and see if we have any other ones coming in. I know we're all holding quite a bit. Frances shares the sorrow that Lynn's father passed away 13 months ago, and she is feeling that loss today. So as we hold all that has been shared and all that remains unspoken and close to our hearts, we move into a time of meditation, which Abby will lead us through. Thank you.
I'm just gonna take a moment and make sure my feet are on the floor and I'm sitting comfortably for this. What if you are a wave in the ocean, a small collection of water in the very big ocean? There are moments when you must draw yourself up, your crest becomes sharp, your movement defined and clear. But you also at times drift quietly in protected bays and sometimes sit glass still in the most wide and vast span of sea. But you are never on your own, never a tiny lake of just you. Always you push against and with the water and waves around you. Similar in temperature, salinity, and depth, the water surrounding you, those nearby waves buoy you, give you shape, move with you. Wave beside wave, running currents, carrying ships. The ocean is so many waves, so many of us. The ocean is so big. There is water you will never encounter, waves so unlike you, so cold that if you came up against another, hurricanes would erupt, entire island nations would be decimated, simply because you had met. And there is water swirling in eddies 100, 200, 4,000 miles away that had once been your closest companion. It no longer presses you forward. You no longer respond to its crashing. You are surrounded by other waters now, but still you are the same ocean. All of us swell and are pulled by the moon. The poison poured into one harbor will ripple around the world. Whale sharks cruise our boundaries. Thich Nhat Hanh tells us that the wave does not need to look for a separate ocean body because she is in this very moment both her wave body and her ocean body. As you gently lull sailors to sleep, you know other ships, other birds, and other whales are rocked and held by other waves. The total perspective vortex is the most savage psychic torture a sentient being can undergo. When you are put into the vortex, you are given just one momentary glimpse of the entire unimaginable infinity of creation, and somewhere in it, a tiny little marker, a microscopic dot on a microscopic dot, which says, "You are here." The total perspective vortex derives its picture of the whole universe on the principle of extrapolated matter analyses. To explain, since every piece of matter in the universe is in some way affected by every other piece of matter in the universe, it is, in theory, possible to extrapolate the whole of creation, every sun, every planet, their orbits, their composition, and their economic and social history from, say, one small piece of fairy cake.
There are 7.6 billion human beings on this earth and counting. Both my social work profession and the UU faith affirm the inherent worth and dignity of each and every one of them. And I do believe that every one of these individuals deserves a world in which they can experience and give their gifts of love. But what would it mean for me to actively love each of them? I crunched some numbers, and it turns out that given my average life expectancy as a white woman, I can give about 1/3 of a second of love to each person on this planet. And that's if I started from birth and could send out that love from my sleep. Pretty impossible. And honestly, I'm not sure what good that would do anyone. I believe that active love requires being in relationship with one another, and that takes a whole lot more time and effort. So I'd like to suggest a different approach. I can live my life in ways that affirm and actively work to build a more loving, just world for everyone, and focus in on a few important social issues that call to me, while trusting that others will pour themselves into the issues to which they feel called. And I can devote the time that I have, none of it guaranteed, into my relationships in a tiered way, across what I see as concentric circles, like rings on a tree. I can give and receive the most love in my closest relationships with my family and those close friends who have become my family, those in my innermost circle. I can make each second and fraction of a second with them really count by seeking to know, honor, and nurture their truest selves. And as I move further out from that inner circle, I still have love to give, albeit a different kind and level of love, to my community, including this beloved community, my friends, my coworkers, my neighbors. At the root of all of this is self-love. There's a reason why we have all of these expressions in our society, like put your oxygen mask on first, or you can't pour from an empty cup. In a world when I'm spending every second sending love to others, I'm not sending any to myself or allowing myself time and space to receive love from others. If I'm committed to living in a world of love, I need to start with myself first and then believe it will cause ripple effects.
Thanks, Amy. And, I just want to say, big thanks to, this is not the first service that our fabulous Katie Resendiz has led by bringing in other fantastic folks that she knows from around the country. And Abby, it's such a pleasure to have you here as well. Just yesterday, my wife, Christina, reminded me of the perfect song for this service. It's by Lyle Lovett, who has always mixed spirituality with a sense of humor. It's called God's Will. It goes. Trusting you when you've been cheating and spending your nights on the town, and who keeps on saying that he still wants you when you're through running around, and who keeps on loving you when you've been lying, saying things ain't what they seem. Well, God does, but I don't. God will, but I won't. And that's the difference between God and me. I said God does, but I don't. God will, but I won't. And that's the difference between God and me. Forgive you and says that he'll miss you and dream of your sweet memory. God does, but I don't. God will, but I won't. And that's the difference between God and me. And I said God does, but I don't. God will, but I won't. And that's the difference between God and me. Thanks, all.
My girlfriend was going to leave me if I did not put my father away in prison. He's going to hurt more kids if you don't put him away, and I can't stay around for that. You're the one who has the power to make this happen. Nobody else can do it. This was not what I wanted to hear. I didn't want to hear anything. I think I was trying to lose myself watching Golden Girls DVDs while she was talking. I was pretty overwhelmed because a few days earlier, I'd had a sit-down conversation with my abusive father, moderated by Chris, my childhood DRE. I had just wanted to ask him questions about what he'd done, what had happened. I'd wanted to know details because worse than knowing was not knowing and imagining what might be true. I wanted to know the size and shape of the monster under my bed, and now I did. My girlfriend at the time had been raised Baptist, the full-on hellfire, 2 hours of hard bench sitting, women can't preach kind of Baptist. She believed in knowable right and wrong, in sin and salvation. I felt wishy-washy and numb, but also like maybe she was right. But putting someone in prison was really far outside of what I could see myself doing. In your wildest dreams, what do you want to happen? That was where Reverend Kim started, and I'd never started from that place. Nobody taught me to start from my dreams. I'd spent my life hating those sorts of songs. As an adult, I attend Arlington Street Church in Boston, so I'd reach out to Reverend Kim Crawford Harvey for help figuring out what I should do. This was our first pastoral phone call. I couldn't think of anything I wanted, so Reverend Kim made a suggestion. What if every year for the rest of his life, he had to produce a hand-illuminated, gold-encrusted, quill ink copy of Father-Daughter Incest by Judy Herman? How would that feel? I sat with that, thought about how that could eat up so much of his energy and creativity. I imagined him as a medieval monk in a scratchy brown robe, hunched over a desk, flecks of gold leaf everywhere. How much it would speed up his arthritis in his hands. It was satisfying, but it wasn't right. I want to make it so he can't be in a position to hurt any more people. That's what I keep coming back to. I don't know how to do that. I want him to have somebody else being responsible for him, since he can't be responsible for himself. We were both quiet. I asked, aren't prisons supposed to be for abolishing? It's what I'd heard a million times. My mother's entire career had been chipping away at the prison system through data. She helped set state policy to expand nonviolent prisoner release programs in New Jersey, and in the summer she would preach at our UU church about the political ineffectualness of tough on crime, starting in the 80s, how punishment didn't reduce crime or make us safer. At budget time, she went in front of the state legislature to show the drop in recidivism, the financial benefits to the state, and got her program expanded many times. He would be so lucky to go to prison, Reverend Kim said. Instant karma. I researched sex offender prison in New Jersey. There's a special program at Rahway State that was the only special program for sex offenders in the country from 1976 to 1994. Anyone who is ever part of the program can attend outpatient groups at no cost for the rest of their life. I wrote to a journalist who wrote a piece about it 10 years ago. Did she think that it was a place that people actually got help? How can I put another person in prison if we all have inherent worth and dignity? I asked. but it wasn't the right question. You don't need to worry about his inherent worth and dignity, Reverend Kim said. Let that be someone else's department. The grubby final shade of my ego was pulled, and it jerked up with a whisking sound and a tight snap, the handled edge whipping around the center core a few times. The light was brighter, edges came into focus, and colors were sweeter in my eyes. Of course, Universalists believed that everyone was saved. Is saved even the right word? But they also believed in an all-powerful God who was the heart of love. That was who was doing the universal loving and saving, not me. And that here, as humans, we can aim for that love, but none of us can hold every person in supreme divine love truly in our tenderest hearts. We're not some all-powerful divine heart of love. That was never supposed to be something we were going to actually achieve. Part of me was trying to earn my A+, but what kind of spiritual cosmic report cards would a Universalist even get? I went forward with my case. I thought of how exhausting it would be to feel that a monster lives in you, how it might be relaxing to feel that your monster is in a place where it can't hurt everybody. My case went forward in Middlesex County, New Jersey, which is home to the wildly progressive criminology department of Rutgers University, and which used VAWA, Violence Against Women Act, funding to create a freestanding center to house everything that a victim of a violent crime would need to report the crime against them, to get a variety of services, and to feel that they were somewhere safe and friendly while they did so. The sex crime unit is not in the police station. There are separate and age-appropriate waiting rooms for adult and child victims. At every stage of my case where I needed to make a decision, my detectives were generous and warm. And I need to tell you, because I know the men you were picturing in your head, neither of them was white. As a matter of policy, they told me when I had reached a decision point, what it would look like to move forward, and what would be true if I left and ended the process. I was allowed to take my time, to go away and come back. I was allowed to order delivery of amazing New Jersey pizza while I made my decisions. Worrying about his inherent worth and dignity wasn't my department. What department is mine? Who are your people? If you try to do a meta meditation after you picture the people you love, or a bank teller who is friendly, you can try to picture Pol Pot or Hitler, or even the person who interrupts you in Chalice Circle all the time to make unfunny jokes and then she laughs at them. I don't even try extending metta to my dad. He's out of my circle. Years ago, in a healing ritual that I participated in, an older woman shook a turtle shell over my heart. I saw him clearly in detail, like he was right there. I got really mad. How dare he be in this healing circle? Then suddenly he was gone from my heart. I think about him sometimes, but I don't feel for him. He's not a wave I bump into. We are both water, waves in the same sea, it's true, but I found a home in a very different part of that sea. From what I've heard third hand, his world is kind of small now. I think he's stuck in a little eddy that just swirls around in a circle. Maybe it's cozy there. Maybe he feels safe. May we all have well-being. May his well-being be far away from mine. We are both waves in the same sea, but so is every single other person. Since I can't literally love every single person, like Amy said, I don't have to hold him in my heart. Maybe Miss Hilarious Interrupter in Chalice Circle will hold him in her heart instead.
One day my mother took up a sledgehammer and pounded her kitchen stove into bits. Pounded her kitchen stove into bits. She served cold cuts to my father for lunch. In that age and in that place, such a challenge to my father's authority and right. Such a challenge to my father's authority and right. Was mysterious, outrageous, even apocalyptic. The demise of the stove is piecemeal destruction poked at the heart of the country, at the quality of life in the town, at the quality of life in the town. And one day, without warning, my mother took it apart and laughing beat the old stove to death. Laughing beat the old stove to death. And one pounded her kitchen stove into bits.
Love may be the doctrine of our congregation and of your faith, and we may be called to build a world from love and work together and push forward in love. But honoring each person, each and every person's inherent worth and dignity, reaching out to marginalized communities and being physically present in them, does not mean that you are the best candidate for every job. Our Unitarian Universalist values do not ask you to be the smartest, prettiest, most perfect person in the room. In fact, you never can be. And when you think you are, you're probably wrong. Our Unitarian Universalist values do not ask you to share the same rhythm and flow with every other person on the planet, to create solutions for problems you see in other people's communities, or to completely expend yourself in service of others. You don't have to be nice to everyone. Kindness and gentleness, yes, but don't fake it. Don't ignore the Jell-O packet, the instant Jell-O pudding sitting on the cupboard. See the resources around you. See the resources and strengths that other people in other communities can access. It doesn't have to all come from you. You do not have to teach, convince, or model perfect love for the whole world. And in fact, you can't. I know it's hard to hear that, but we aren't perfectly skilled. And we may know love and we may practice it and we may work hard towards it. But we're not the perfect candidate for every job. No individual person should be the caretaker of the whole world. None of us on our own know how best to do that. And you don't have to. You don't have to be cool to rule the world. You don't have to tend to every drop of water in the ocean. You wouldn't be very good at it, no matter how much love and learning you put into it.
You do have to participate in the care of the ocean. You do have to be curious about the rest of the ocean. You don't have to go across the world to build water filtration systems when local teenage girls are already selling filtered water for school fees. You do have to support systems that care for everyone. You do have to elect mining commissioners who are passionate about particulate count, so you don't have to be. You do have to push for prison reform. You do have to support the careers of politicians who see the ocean and are committed to service. You do have to mentor and be mentored. You do have to create redundancies, make sure someone else knows how to mop the floor just as well as you do, so that on the day you are too tired, the floor gets mopped. You do have to understand the policies that shape our communities. Do all the things to make sure that you aren't just taking care of your people. Do the things that make space in the world for everyone to be loved, and fiercely, actively, directly love the community that surrounds you.
Hello, UU family. I'm going to sing a song with you called Shine on Me. It's an amazing spiritual that anybody can sing. And in these days when the things that we're dealing with, the feeling separate and all of that, and things seem so hard, this is one of those songs that you just throw your head back, put it in your medicine kit. All you have to do is ask. And here's how it goes. shine on me, oh, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, lift me up. Yes, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. Oh, hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. So hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse, please hold me close. Oh, shine on me, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. All you have to do is just ask. The light is always there. Always. Always. Oh, yeah.
My community, UUC Phoenix. Every week I tell you that you are so very loved and so very powerful. And it's true. And the love that you have and that you're capable of is its own power. And that power comes right back around to you in the love that you receive and the love that you deserve. You are able to practice seeing the divinity of every single person. But you're not capable of forcing each person into the divine that you'd like to see. Protect yourself, protect your people, and send love out into the world in ways that continue to protect yourself. Because you are so very powerful and so very, very loved. Before closing words, we'd like to invite you to the coffee hour after service. We'll meet in a large group for a bit and then into smaller groups. The rooms are posted in the chat and they'll be on the final slide as well. Visitors, we hope you can join us. We're a very friendly bunch. And even if we're not, we're at least a funny bunch quite frequently. There's also a coffee hour just for kiddos and their families. It's pretty fun, and it's interesting to be in a space that's designed specifically for kiddo communication. please also check on one another. Remember who your people are. Who are your 12? Make sure they're doing okay. Give them a phone call, give them a smile, ask them a question. And now our closing words. I hope you all are wonderful this week and have a moment to feel your own divinity, your own sacredness and specialness. Amen. Blessed be. Go in peace. Go in love.